Hi, I'm back. This is part 2 of Get to Know Me. If you haven't seen part 1, it's already posted. Got really long. But hi, I'm Nicola. I'm 19. And by 2 weeks, I will be 20. So let's do part 2. If you could speak to one deceased person for 30 seconds, who would it be and what would you say? We'd probably have to pick my grandpa. My granddad died in 2018, so about 4 years ago. Due to cancer, and he seemed to be in a lot of pain. So I would definitely ask him, is he no longer suffering? What is the best advice you ever received? To definitely be yourself. Like, don't try to mask yourself for someone else. Like, don't try to act a certain way to please someone. Like, it's no good pleasing so many people and not pleasing yourself. Knew that in exactly 1 year you would die. Would you change anything? Like the way you're living and why? I'd say no, because I feel like now, since I'm in college, I'm definitely living my best life. What is your definition of success? To be happy. I feel like everybody's like, oh, I'd love to be rich. Like, money's so good to you if you're unhappy. This is a student related question, so I thought, I am a student, but some of my answers probably are going to relate to actually being in school. What is your favourite subject? So school was music and history. Probably in college, it's probably constitutional law, the Irish legal system, because it kind of results back to history as well. I do play any instruments. I learned how to play ukulele in school. Who is your favourite teacher so far? My music teacher from school was definitely my favourite, and I don't really have a favourite college lecturer. Do you prefer to work individually or in groups? Definitely individually, because I'm very socially awkward, and I feel like I just work better alone. What's the most hated household chore? But now, since I'm pretty much living by myself, I'm obviously not living completely by myself, I'm living with other students. But definitely doing the laundry. Like, it's the motivation to actually get up on my ass because I have no one else to do it for me. Like, if I don't wash my clothes, then I have no clothes to wear. It's even worse putting them away. It's like they just sit there for days until you're like, I need to put them shit away. What was your first favourite movie as a child? Definitely the High School Musical films. I really like them. Favorite food? I'm definitely a pasta, basic bitch type of girl. But then again, there's only like dishes that you can make with pasta, so it's great. And when you're living like alone, like not alone but by yourself in college, pasta's probably the cheapest thing to like get, and it's like one of the easiest things to make. It's the saddest movie you've ever seen. It's not exactly a sad film. It's definitely, I feel like it's not sad, but it's off the rails, and it's Kelly Preston's last film, and I think it's like the idea that it's her last film that gets me sad. Obviously someone else isn't gonna find it sad, but I do. And it's not like I can watch the whole movie, but at the end, it like the screen goes black and it goes for Kelly. Like near the end, I know that's coming, and I can feel my heart start to throb, and I can feel like myself starting to tear up. So I always just turn it off before it comes on. So I'm like, nope. If you could do high school again, would you? Absolutely not. High school was such a, well, in Ireland we actually call it secondary school. It was the hardest and toughest period in my life. Well, hardest and toughest, same fucking word. But it was definitely the most difficult time in my life, especially my senior years. Even though we don't really call it our senior years. I feel like that's an American thing. But my last 3 years in school was extremely difficult. And they were definitely like the saddest times of my life. So it's not something I would ever want to relive. Where did you grow up? I grew up in Ireland, and I grew up in like the county. I'm not gonna say the town, but I grew up in the county of Monaghan in Ireland. Did you have any childhood pets? Yes, I had a dog called Rusty, and he lived until I was 15. My parents got him as a pup like a couple of days after I was born, so we kind of just shared a birthday, even though he wasn't born or got on my birthday. We kind of just we just shared a birthday. What challenges did you experience when you were a child? I lost my nan, like my dad's mom, when I was 8, or not, no, I was 9. And I lost like great uncles and that. But I feel like that was the most challenging because I didn't really know the great uncles, if you get me. And she was the first ever dead body I seen, which definitely was the most traumatizing thing. Or whatever. My parents weren't gonna allow me to view her, but I kind of insisted for some strange reason, and I can remember it so well. So a bit of background. I don't know if any other country does this, but here we have a wake when someone dies, and that pretty much means that like for like 2 days or maybe even a day, it just depends on like what the family chooses. Their loved one will be laid out in a coffin, either in like their home, a family's home, or else like a funeral home. It just depends on the family, and people come and pay their respects. Now, my nan's body was laid out in her house, like my dad's home house, or whatever, in her living room. And I remember my mum brought me in, like to the house, not into the living room where she was. And she was like, nope, we're gonna go into the kitchen. We're gonna wait until nobody's in the room so I can go in by myself and no one else is gonna be there, because no one knew how the hell I was going to react. And thank God they did, because I reacted badly. So one of my aunts had said like, oh, there's no one in there if you want to bring her in now, like now's probably the best chance, right? So I was like, grand. So we were like the kitchen, like, so you come out of the kitchen, right? And like the sitting room was like literally right next door. So the kitchen was here, the sitting room was there. That makes sense. And the sitting room was like at the front of the house, and like obviously at the front of the house, the sitting room obviously had a window. They can look out and like you see outside. Gummy. And her body, like the coffin, was like laid against the window, if that makes sense. So, and her head was like up this way. So the first thing I seen, even before I went into the sitting room, was her head. And I remember I freaked the fuck out. Like, I freaked. Because, you know, if you've ever seen a dead body, they don't necessarily look like themselves. And like in 9-year-old me's head, I was like, that's not my nan. Like, that's not her. And I remember physically falling to the ground, pretty much having a mental breakdown before I even got in there. I remember my mom and my aunt was trying to like get me off the ground and console me. But I did manage to go in and say my final goodbyes. I'm kind of glad I did, because I feel like since I was there and if I didn't go in, I would definitely regret it. So yeah, the most traumatizing thing of my life. What is your political decision? I don't really know. Like, I haven't registered to vote or anything like that. But I would love to see a 32 county republic. I would love to see Northern Ireland no longer be a thing. Or whatever, because it's still technically under England, Northern Ireland. So I would love to see like a full republic Ireland. What drives you out of bed every morning? Go toilet, because I have the bladder of like a goldfish. Has your fashion sense changed over years? Nope. I still wear like the same things: leggings, a top, leggings, a hoodie. It's just my comfort zone. What is the worst date you've ever been on? Yeah, we're not gonna talk about that. It was a story, you know. The only ones that know the full story is the girls I live with, because it happened up here, meaning that I was forced, or whatever. But it's now something to laugh about when I look back. When does your family cause you distress? Anytime there's like a family thing, they stress me out. What is a family trait that isn't necessarily healthy? Definitely that, like, I don't even know how the fuck to explain, but we definitely know how to argue with each other, and we won't stop until the other one is dead. So that's not good. Where did you go to college? I'm obviously still in college. I go to an Atlantic Technological University, which is in County Donegal. What are you majoring in? Law or criminal justice? What type of student were you in high school? Definitely the one that never showed up because my mental health was so bad in school. So that was great. How important to use your education? Definitely so important. Even though my mental health has definitely affected it, and I wish it hasn't, but it still is extremely important. What is your general outlook in life? Definitely just to treat people how you'd like to be treated. I'm a strong believer to, like, you never know what's going on in someone else's life or what's going on inside their head, or whatever. So just, I think just be cautious with your words too. And like, I'm definitely feel like I'm being a bit hypocrite because I have said some things in the past. Oh my gosh, should not have said that, but we are mature. I feel like what 19-year-old hasn't like said shit that they're like, what the fuck, I'm still learning how to like navigate my emotions, because I feel like when you're having these strong ass emotions, you can't say things that you do regret. So I am learning how to navigate them and how to like stop myself from saying something that I will possibly regret in the future. Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna leave it there for part 2. So I hope you enjoyed this little video. I feel like my long ass story about how I was traumatized was definitely out there, but like I do hope you enjoy it, and yeah, I will see you in my next video whenever that will be.